Day 6, bring that MRE that they give you. They plan to spend almost all day testing. There's usually a lot of people there. They only have so many tests that they can administer at one time because they have to have the equipment there, and they can only run a few people at a time. So it takes a while to get through everyone. And depending on if they decide to go through alphabetical order A through Z, or if they decide to switch it up and go Z through A, whatever they choose to do, you don't know if you're going to be one of the first people to go or if you're going to be one of the last people to go. So bring that MRE with you, because if you end up being one of the last people to go, you'll eat it in the classroom where you're waiting. If you end up being one of the first ones to go and you don't end up eating it there, that's fine. It's not like, I mean, it fits in your pocket. It's not like it takes up that much room. So if you have it and you don't need to eat it before the test, well, now you have it on you for when you get back to your barrack, you can eat it there. So it's not a huge deal. But what is a big deal is if you don't bring it at all and you spend 3 hours waiting to take the test and you're hungry, but you don't have anything to eat, you didn't bring it. So bring that MRE. When you take this test, this is a test that a lot of people freak out on. That Slingloading, it's the same thing you've been training for. It's not worse than you are kind of expecting. Well, I guess it's just as bad as you're expecting, but don't rush the test. People get nervous a lot, and they know there's a limited time to do every load, so they rush it, and some people like to try to go as fast as they can. That way, if they have extra time, they can kind of go through it one more time. It's a very bad idea. If you happen to have free time at the end and you haven't found everything, sure, go back through. But what you shouldn't be doing is trying to get through it so fast that you're trying to get it through it twice, because that means you're rushing it, and you're more likely to miss things that first round, and you're just making it harder on yourself. Whereas if you take your time, look at every inspection point when you do that first look through, then yeah, it might take a little longer, but you'll find everything, and you'll be good. So just don't rush that test. Day 7, you're going to finally get to start learning. Well, you'll learn how to tie your seat, which is that kind of rope harness. That's just going to give you a rope, and you learn how to tie a harness. It's actually kind of cool. It's actually a pretty useful skill, in my opinion. The downside is that it's incredibly painful. I think that's just the military for you. Useful, yes. Comfortable, no. So my recommendation is to tie it tight, tie it safe, but don't make it incredibly uncomfortable. You know the second you start tying it if it's comfortable. And by definition, it's not going to be very comfortable. So don't have a high expectation for that. You're probably going to get some type of almost like a rug burn from it on your sides, by your hips. That's pretty normal, but if you tie it incredibly tight, either in the groin area or even around the waist over the hips, then once you've waited in line for your turn to rappel, after even 10 minutes, you're going to be in a lot of pain, and you could be waiting up to an hour or so. So tie it tight, tie it safe, but tie it comfortable, or at least as comfortable as possible. They will probably tell you everything that they're looking for when they inspect it, but as a reminder, make sure to keep, so where you put the carabiner here, make sure it's not close to any knot. If it's able to go to one side and it's able to start hitting like the knot where you tie off the excess rope, they're going to send you back and have you retie it. So just make sure that carabiner is away from any knots. Day 8, you've got to the fun stage. Have fun with this. Day 8 is usually a lot of rappelling, so you spend the most, if not all the day, at the rappel tower. So you're in your seat for a long time. That's the downside to it. But you get to have a lot of fun going down different ways. You might go down kind of back down or walking down the side, kind of traditional style. You might go facing the ground. You might even go with like a rucksack on your back and a weapon on you. Like, you have a lot of different options, and it can be really fun. What you don't want to do is take your good old time with this. Some people are naturally afraid of heights, and so naturally they will be a little slower at this because they're a little scared. They don't want to see it. Whether you're scared of heights or not, they show you how to get down in just a few seconds. It should take you a minute to get all the way from the top of the tower down to the ground. Not only is it holding up the line for everyone else, which makes everyone else have to sit in their seat longer, and now they're upset at you for taking so long, but realistically, if you are in like a combat zone or any situation other than practicing, if you're taking your good old time getting down that rope and something happens, whether there's enemy fire or whatever, if that helicopter needs to move and you're still on that rope, still in the process of getting down, you're in trouble. Either you've got to drop really quickly and get to the ground, or they're going to take off and now you're just kind of dangling by a rope, which that's actually even worse. So most likely that wouldn't happen. But we're thinking about it that way because even though this is practice, kind of imagine it like you're in a war zone. Do it like you're doing it for real. You can kind of think about when you've seen it in the movies to do it that way. The movies are never perfectly realistic, so I would caution you on that. But when they tell you go, you go. Just go for it and have fun. Don't die. Really, don't die. No, I don't recommend it. It's not fun. All right, day 9. This is probably the most exciting part, and it's kind of like the culminating event of the entire program. So I'm sure if you even have any idea what air assault is, you know that it's like the last thing you do other than the Ruck, which isn't fun. That's not really the exciting thing you look forward to. But you get to jump out of a helicopter. So what kind of helicopter it is depends on where you go and what kind of aircraft they have available. In our case, we got to jump out of some Blackhawks. So that was exciting because, I mean, not only was it fun to jump out, but I had actually never been that close to a Black Hawk in my life, especially not inside of a Black Hawk. So it was exciting to get in. My only recommendation for this, I mean, at this point you're ready, you're good, you're having fun. The only recommendation is to be as close to the front of the line as possible. We mentioned how that seat is uncomfortable. Well, depending on where you go, you may only have a couple aircraft to jump out of, which means if you have especially a fairly large class, it will take all day to get everyone through those lines. If you're one of the last people to go, oh boy, is it not fun. I mean, the jumping out's still fun. It's pretty hard to not make that fun. But what isn't fun is waiting that long in your seat, because it is uncomfortable, it's tight, it's probably going to give you some type of weird chafing. So if you can be towards the front of the line, it is recommended. All right, graduation day. You are about to go on that Ruck that everyone has clearly been looking forward to. Don't stress out over it. Whether you're Army and this is just another walk in the park, or you're not used to rucking and you're a little nervous that you're going to get through it, no matter what your position is, if nothing else, you're probably a little bit worried about the packing list. Similar to that first Ruck, some people will go through it many times, and I don't recommend going through it more than once or twice. Again, no one's out to get you. Once you go through it once, if you want to go through it twice to be sure, whatever, but after you go through it that second time, you know the stuff's there. Don't keep freaking yourself out, getting inside your head and checking it. 5 times because, again, just like before, you are more likely to lose something while you're checking than you are to have had everything because you already checked. So relax. There's nothing more you can do at this point. Don't stress out over your packing list. Don't get lazy on this ruck. It's a lot of time. I think you have 3 hours to get through it. So especially if you're used to rucking, you might take it slow just to kind of be comfortable because you, again, if you're not first, doesn't matter. You can be anywhere else in that lineup, but don't get lazy with it. If you remember my story from a past video, I thought I was good to go, and so I slowed down, and probably I think it was like a mile or two from the end, the guys came up behind us and said, "You better hurry up," and they were just literally yelling "run," because we were about to fall behind the set pace if you want to pass. So don't do that. Set a good pace at the beginning. You don't have to kill yourself over it, but set a good pace, and then you can kind of adjust later on if you need to go a little faster or slower. But don't get lazy. But as long as you're not being lazy and as long as you're pushing yourself, just try to keep yourself in a good spot. Obviously, the end is not a good spot because barely passing in this situation is actually more stressful. And when you get there, you have to lay out all your stuff before they do that ruck check. So if you get there at the last second possible, you're going to have no time to lay your stuff out, and they're just going to be yelling at you more. So push yourself a little bit more for this one, but don't stress out over it. You will want to use moleskin and tape. It's the last event, so you'll know if you have blisters already, and you might have blisters afterwards. But if you either already have a blister or you know I always get a blister there, go ahead and pre-wrap it. Put some moleskin over the spots that need it. It'll make your ruck more comfortable. It'll make you more comfortable after the ruck. And again, being comfortable in this case is good. It's not just an Air Force thing. You can be comfortable too. Once you're done with the ruck, you have graduation. Graduation, I really hope I don't need any tips for this, but I'll give you one anyways. If I gave you a tip, it would be to put the frog, so the back on those the wings you get, you're gonna have a back to the pin that holds it on. I'd recommend putting those on pretty much as soon as you can. Reason for this being blood wings, while they're very highly discouraged and you usually get warned that you're actually not supposed to do it, that doesn't prevent people from going around and saying, "Good job, you made it," and punching you right where they just put the wings. So if you put those backings on earlier on, in case someone comes up to you and hits it, you don't have to worry as much. It might still like pinch a little bit, but at least it won't actually puncture your skin. There is a quick church service while you're there. As long as there's a chaplain available, you have the option to go. You might feel like you're going to miss out if you go because they try to get it at a convenient time, but if it goes long or it might just kind of slide into time that they're spending teaching something else, like maybe going over the course or starting more practice or something. If you're religious and church is something you normally go to, I would recommend going to it here too. Just because you're missing out on just a little bit of practice training or whatever they're doing. They understand you're in your religious service. You don't have to worry about them getting on you. Actually, they're not allowed to because that's something that is highly encouraged and required in the military, is that religious equal. So whether you believe in Christianity, in Buddhism, in Islam, whether you're an atheist, whatever your belief system, the military allows for that. And they want to give you time on a religious day, so Sunday for most people, Saturday for others. They want to give you time to be a part of that. So you don't have to skip the service. just because you're afraid of missing out on something, go ahead and go to the service. Remember to pay attention to your uniform. This is all, of course, is attention to detail. So if you put on your belt backwards or you miss a belt loop, something small like that, even though some people may not notice or care, it can make a difference while you're here, because if they're deciding to be strict one day and they notice it, you're now the new target for who they're looking at. When you're doing PT at some point, about halfway, a little over halfway through, they're going to tell you that there's no more PT. It's a great moment because you realize you don't have to wake up quite as early, for at least, quite as early, and you don't have to do physical training in the moment you wake up. But just because there's not scheduled PT doesn't mean they won't give you PT as punishment for goofing off or doing stuff you're not supposed to, or not doing what you are supposed to. So do what you're supposed to, so you don't have to do PT, because it's not just you doing PT, it's the whole group. So act like an adult. That's it for tips. Congratulations on going to Air Assault. Hopefully these videos have helped. Here are those slides I promised at the very beginning of the video. As a reminder, you don't really need to study these before coming to Air Assault. There's not a whole lot that you won't be able to learn when you're there, because they're going to tell you everything you need to know. So these slides are just extra, but you can use them if you so desire. Why, you might ask? Do I put them in slide form rather than like putting them in the description where you can click on them and just download them? Well, in all honesty, I'm just being selfish. It's easier. It's easier on me, and it also forces you to watch more of my video and screenshot. So, hey, that gives me more viewers, right? Something like that. Anyways, hope you enjoyed my video. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. That's all for today. Have a great day, guys.